Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we're looking at my CRYSTRON deck profile post Supreme Darkness. This deck gets such a cool wave of cards, like 5 new cards in the set, and they're all bangers. They're all awesome. They're really, really cool. I don't know what else to say about them, but this deck takes a really big leap forward, basically from completely irrelevant for years and years and years to top 10 deck for sure, maybe even a borderline top 5 deck in the game. It's also low-key a little bit budget. I know there's some older cards that are harder to get, but the new cards are so dummy cheap that like it may still count as a budget deck even with the old cards. So that's really cool. I'm going to show you guys my build here. I know there's a lot of different builds you can go with currently, but I'm going to show you at least what I'm working with here. You've probably seen a bunch of explanations on the new cards, so I'm not going to go too in-depth on them, but I'll at least explain like their roles and what I like to use them for and how much I like them. So let's get into it. Let's start off with, of course, the first category of like the new monsters, which is the tiny non-tuners. These cards are cool. Some people play Praesiordal and Rosenix as well. I messed around with Praesiordal very briefly, but just found that I really never had a reason to utilize him. The only reason I can maybe think of playing him is if you want to boost your water numbers with a card that's like not terribly awful for you, but like still helps you boost your water numbers. That way, if you're going to play Title as a consistency booster, like that works out. But I don't think it's that crucial, to be honest. So I'm okay just playing the 3-in-1 here. This Fern's just not a starter on its own, so we don't play more than one of that card. It does still come up though in a lot of cases to help you keep pushing. And then, but Smyger is your main monster starter. So he is the king. He's the best card to start with. Monster wise, getting into the next category, these are like your level 5 extender guys. These are really important to the deck. You go through these guys all the time. I'm playing 3 Sulfafnir, 2 Sulfador. I was messing around with 3 Sulfador. I'm not even convinced that it's bad. I think it's fine. You'll hear everybody say this, you need 5 names. It's kind of true. You're going to go through like 2 names as extenders, and then you're going to try and summon 2 from deck, all on turn 1 off of Tristaros. And so you run through them so fast, and so you just need to have enough names in deck that like in the grind, you don't just run out of 5s and just can't utilize them anymore. So, yep, you just need that many, because sometimes in one turn you can go through all 5 names, and just be aware of that. So yeah, they're really good. Sulfador is such a crazy new extender. It is a little bit clunky because it has to pop a CRYSTRON card on field, and we don't always have a CRYSTRON card, right? Like you can open this with like Speedroid cards, and if you don't resolve that, then like you're just stuck with this and it doesn't extend. So like it's why it's like kind of not a guaranteed 3 in my opinion. I still think it might be just because it's a name, and like this plus any other CRYSTRON card can usually play, but still depends, right? So there you go. 3 and 2 is my ratio in there. Sulfador, by the way, Sulfafnir is crazy. This card is so good. It's like a bonus consistency card and then some. So I like this one a lot. And then we have the tuners. 3 copies of Tristaros. Yeah, this card's insane. It's the best of the new cards. And then 1 copy of Citri. I really like Tristaros here. Hold on. Oh no, hold on. There we go. That's what we need. Sorry. Anyway, Tristaros is crazy. This is the best of the new cards. Both of its effects are out of this world crazy. It dodges hand traps. It's a really good end board piece, and it helps you extend like crazy turn 1. Citri's kind of a brick. It's kind of the worst brick actually, but you still need to play it because it helps you. Without playing this card, you really can't make your crazy CRYSTRON Synchro 9 that like wins the duel if it resolves. So you got to play it for that, but outside of that, you're fine to hopefully not draw this, but even sometimes just drawing it's fine, because if you draw with like Sulfafnir or Sulfador, like it still helps you play because it's a name. Or if you do play Title, it's a water, you can pitch for it. Like there are ways where it's fine, but it's obviously not ideal. All right, from there we move into our spells. For consistency, 3 copies of Inclusion, 1 Burial, and 1 Pot of Prosperity. Inclusion is another really awesome card for the deck. It is a really nice consistency piece, but also just a card you go through with any combo, basically. Searches any CRYSTRON card in activation, gives you battle protection, which is kind of low-key and understated, because you end on Tristaros, like a smaller tuner monster that wants to quick synchro on your opponent's turn. So sometimes your opponent will just try and summon a body and like beat over it, but they can't with this card. So that's kind of a nice thing to keep in mind. Burial's just Rhoda in this deck, basically. If there was a machine Foolish Burial, like just send a machine and then maybe locks you in a machine for this turn, I would play it in an instant, immediately. It would be the best non-CRYSTRON like consistency boosting card in the game. And then Prosperity, this card's really good as well. I'm surprised at how many lists I've seen not playing this. Really surprised, actually, because this card kind of fits all three with the deck, right? We don't draw in the deck, so that's one. We have enough room in the extra deck to resolve this card in any given duel. We have a lot of utility cards in our deck, but like just like in any given duel, you're gonna know turn one which cards are like never coming up this duel. And then of course, 3, this is a deck that needs a boost to consistency. So I'm kind of surprised I don't see more lists playing Prosperity, but hey, whatever. You know, to each his own. And then the one trap we play Cluster. This card's awesome. I love this card. It's so cool. I love that it doesn't even need a CRYSTRON card on the field. It just needs to shuffle back CRYSTRONs from grave to just get you pops every single turn. It's a continuous. It also gives your CRYSTRON cards banish protection on field, which is actually low-key kind of nice, like SP and other stuff. Like if Cosmic becomes popular, Cosmic doesn't hit this card, or Inclusion. So that's like really cool. But I like it. It's really cool. I like this card a lot. And it even cycles your stuff. So even if there is stuff you're like running low on resources with, you can just keep shuffling stuff back to make sure you can keep going. As for my consistency boosting engine that I'm choosing, I'm going with the Speedroid stuff. This is going to be a little boring because this is kind of what most people have been going with lately from what I've seen. Not everybody's going to agree, not necessarily agree, but just, they might want to see something different. But I'm still new to the deck. I mean, it's only been a week, so I'm definitely going to test out some stuff like Tidal and maybe Kashtira down the line, and maybe even Adventure and Azamina. We'll see. But for now, or Horse, I guess is the last one. For now, I'm messing with these. Terratop's just the single best starter that any of those packages offer. Like, just being a 1 card, doesn't take your normal summon starter. You do have to play an Icky Brick. That's kind of the one downside there. But other than that, you still feel pretty good about it. So, yeah, I think that's like a pretty decent place to be. I drew Takatan Word like 3 times in 1 5-round locals, which was brutal. I think I won 2 of those games maybe, but like still, every time I saw it, I was like, this is the worst card to draw in the deck. Like, give me Citri all day. I will take Citri 6 times over Takatan Board 3 times. That card is such a dead brick. You have no wins in your deck, so it's just dead. But yeah, still good. I want to mess with the other stuff. Like, I'm very curious about Tidal, because like this deck's still been performing like a borderline top 5 deck in the OCG, and they all play Tidal because they don't have Terratop at 3. So if it's good enough for them, for it to be a borderline top 5 deck, like why can't it be here? So I'm going to mess around with it and see how I like it at some point. And then for non-engine, we'll run through it here very quickly. 3 Imperm, 3 Ash, 3 Droll. These are kind of in order of how much I like them, at least the ones I'm running. 3 Veiler, 2 Ogre, and 2 Nib, rounding us out. I also play 1 Talents kind of at the end here. Okay, so here's the rundown. If these are in order of how much I like them, you need to keep in mind, I don't have access to Mulcharmies yet. I've just been holding off. I could have bought them, but at this point I've waited long enough and I might as well just wait for some reprints. And they don't feel so crucial to like being successful. I feel like I've been fine without them. So yeah, I like Imperm a lot. Ash is next because it can hit stuff like Mulcharmies, which is really nice. Droll and Locks is kind of an unsung hand trap this format. And I think the reason is most competitive players do have Mulcharmies. So if they're not on a budget, then they have the card that's better. But if you can't play them, then I think Droll is like low-key nasty right now. I feel like this card in a couple different matchups is actually like low-key quite good. Even Malice, I think it's a little understated, right? You just, like, once they search off of Red Ransom normally, a lot of times that could be their first search. You literally like keep them off of drawing 2 off of Chessie. They're not drawing 1 off of Whitebinder anymore. You actually turn off quite a bit, and depending on the bonus engine they're playing, you might also turn off a secondary engine as well completely. So I actually feel like Droll is like low key, like better than anybody's giving it credit for right now. I just think most people can't play it because of them having to, you know, it conflicts with Mulcharmies, but yeah, little slept on. Other than that, the rest is kind of basic. I guess I'd mention that, like, I think Ogre might get better next format, and by next format I mean like in a week or two when the Blue Eye structure deck comes out. If that deck is as good as it's been in the OCG, like immediately, like a literal top 3 deck on drop, then Ogre's maybe the best hand trap against that deck. So keep an eye on that one. And then the 1 talents, like this could be swapped for something. Any other thing I would mention about this lineup here is Droplet. Almost every list I've seen is maining Droplet. This is my first week playing. I just chose to put it in the side instead of the main. You play it for Dweller. Dweller is the one card that is just super accessible for like Raziel decks that you just have to be aware of. And it's probably correct to play it in the main. I wouldn't have messed with hand traps my first week on the deck, and so I didn't play it. I only ran into one Raziel player. He tried to Dweller meme, and I had something to stop it. So it like wasn't the end of the world for me. But I can easily understand like being terrified of that card because it can just absolutely crush you. So keep that in mind. I might move it to the main, but I also like wanted a good enough hand trap like number that I felt good about drawing 2 in almost every duel. You just want to see 2. That's modern day Yu-Gi-Oh, right? All right, into the extra deck. For level 5s, I only play 1. I play Amatrix. Cool card, gives you like utility. Mainly just being a 5 and being able to reborn a CRYSTRON when it's destroyed is nice. Because there are scenarios where you have Tristaros, and to dodge something, or at least to like punish your opponent for hand trapping you or activating an effect, you want to go like Tristaros, and like just depending on the scenario, you just like don't have access to Smiger or Thistfern or something. So you want to just go for a 3. And like you need a 5 to make if you're going to go for a 3. So being able to make him and then being able to like pop him for Tristaros and get like good value and just reborn stuff and summon 2 and keep going from there. I feel like a 5 it just feels necessary. There's other 5s that are interesting, Chanbara, Excel Synchron, stuff like that. But for now, I'm just playing Amatrix. We'll see. I've been thinking about the others though. For 7s, we play 2 copies of Skeletus, 1 Dawn Dragster, and 1 Destroyer. These are pretty straight up. Like, Skeletus just gets a ton of value. This combined with Tristaros is, like, absolutely nutty. You go, like, +4 off of those 2 cards. Dawn Dragster, some people play 2 of this because there are end boards you can make where you actually are able to, like, make 2 of these for double spell and trap negates. But I just play the 1. I think it's fine. It hasn't come up for me yet, but I know some people do like it. And then Samurai Destroyer. It's basically a nib punish. Technically anything that like has a, you know, complete board wipe kind of effect that doesn't target. This card's kind of cool. You can just chain Tristaros, make this, and this will reborn a machine when it's removed from the field by an opponent's card. It's cool. It's very niche, but like it's a nice like nib insurance card. For 9s, we played Quarian Gandrax and Navy Dragon Mech. Quarian Gandrax is crazy, man. On summon, this card is targeting 3 monsters on your opponent's field or grave and banishing all 3. It's so strong. This card resolves, it feels like how do you lose. Even a deck that doesn't want to be, or that does want to be banished, like Malice, you can catch them at awkward points where you just remove all of their like link material basically, or you wait till their names have already been used, and then you can just clear their whole board. It's still strong. I don't care. Yeah, this card's crazy. And then of course Navy Dragon Mech. This is just a different 9 that and 9s do just come up. It's not quite as strong on summon, but it's a little bit easier to make because it doesn't require 2 tuners. And it still has a float effect when it's destroyed. So you could still Tristaros pop this on a later turn and just start replenishing value. So I like that still. Centurion Legation is the only 12 I play. This is for a very specific scenario where you have like Tristaros on your field already, and then you summon Sulfador. Sulfador is so strong. Like Foolish Berylling 2 is so strong that like your opponent's going to want to negate it, but if they try to, you can chain Tristaros, summon Sulfefnir from deck, and then synchro with all 3 into a 12. And then that resolves. You have a machine on field now to pop a Tristaros and summon 2 from deck. And Legatia is drawing you a card on summon. So you're just playing around so much and still getting a ton of value while like beating an interaction. I just think that's fine. Now, the downside of that, like the argument against this is like if you're playing against a competent player, they're going to know how the deck works, and they're going to know that if you have Tristaros on the field, they cannot try to imperm a card that you can just dodge for free, right? So that would be the argument. It's just they're just never going to play into a scenario where this card, you're able to punish them for this, but this card is still a decent card overall. It's like popping a monster on field and drawing you a card when you make it, and it's 3,500, so there are still reasons to make it. But that one and Navy Dragon Mech are the most cuttable, I feel like, from the Synchro lineup. From there, we move to links. 1 Clockwork Knight, 1 Cherubini, 1 SP. Clockwork Knight is basically there just to get Smyger into grave when it's normal summoned. It's Owl Mirage with a little bit better application. It's a machine, and it can potentially reborn a like Tristaros or a Citri at some point, which can kind of be nice. There are weird hands where like you get hand trapped out the ass, and you just like, if you put a separate body on the field, you're like, oh, tribute that body, and let me just get Tristaros back. At least it lets you pass on Tristaros, where in some scenarios you like literally were about to like pass on nothing. So that can actually save you. Cherubini, this is just for the Speedroid stuff. Funny enough, like just because this is what you go through and it's kind of generic, you could go special Speedroid Terror Top, like affect a search, your opponent like imperms it, ashes it, whatever. You might just like, depending, like you might just be like, oh, normal summon Ash Blossom, normal summon Ogre, and still just get there. It's crazy. That feels like so crazy. Then SP, not a card that's going to come up all the time because you do lock yourself into machines with Tristaros as well as Sulfador's effects. But when it comes up, it comes up. Like if you have a hand that already plays and you have in that Speedroid engine in hand, you can use the Speedroids to make SP and start baiting interactions early without a normal summon, and then start playing with CRYSTRON cards. So this card does come up. I highly recommend playing it still. For Exceeds, Nova, Infinity, Typhon. Typhon comes up as well. Kills me that it's not a machine. If this card was a machine, it'd be maybe the best card in your extra deck. It's crazy. But yeah, so you just have to be careful that you're not using Tristaros or Sulfador's effect to lock you in duels where you really have to resolve this to win. But the CDI is classic. You're summoning 2 5s off of Tristaros and making this. It's good. And then lastly, 1 Makaba. 2 main reasons for this. A lot of times your 5th summon is Nova. So your opponent, once they see that, they're going to drop Nib because they know otherwise their Nib is just dead. And so if they do, you can summon Makaba and have a monster negate. Also, Mitsurugi decks right now are messing with some of them, not all of them. I've seen some lists that are starting to cut it, but Nadir Servant is crazy. So they play Maximus. They go Nadir Servant for Maximus. Maximus lets you send 2 cards, but because it's still their activated effect, you send Nova and CDI, and Nova still triggers to summon Makaba on their turn when they go first, which is crazy. And then you have like a monster or spell negate and banish just loaded up. It's awesome. Yep, that's it for extra. And then we'll zoom through the side real quick. This is a first iteration side. I have big changes I think I'm going to make to it. I just am waiting for some stuff in the mail, but obviously Lancia, this is Lancia format. I played 2 Bystials. This was dumb. I guess I played this for like Bystial or Fiendsmith decks. It's fine. These cards just don't work because we're not playing like a generic Link deck. So you just, once you summon these, you just don't get great value off of them. They just kind of sit there. Maybe you make a Typhon, maybe you make an SP with them, but like that's quite literally it. So I don't know if I like that. 3 copies of Droplet. Obviously, you have to have this somewhere, main or side, because Dweller is just such a menace to the deck. But yeah, that is somewhere. 2 Slayer. This is basically just for Detonator. This deck really hates Detonator. You have a couple continuous effects and stuff, and Detonator just beats Tristaros and other stuff. But in most cases, so Slayer just being able to handle it cleanly. The downside is we don't have enough extra deck space to play like the targets for Slayer that just get you like actual pluses. So it's just not quite as strong. I'm gonna mess with Metaltronus soon, and maybe that'll be the better answer for it, but we'll see. Because that may give us an answer to like Dweller and Detonator at the same time, but we'll see. 1 copy of Duster. It was locals. You might play a back row deck. Called by the Grave. This is for going first. Being able to beat like Lancia and Shifter. It's the other one. Yeah, those are 2 annoying cards, and any other hand trap on a weaker hand can also be a pain. So Called just comes in. And then Strike. I like Strike a lot, actually. The deck, I think the only monster negation engine-wise that you can get to via your engine is Cyber Dragon Affinity, and I think that's literally it. Like Dawn Dragster, Spell and Trap Negate, we have Monster Removal, we have You know, we have pops, we have stuff like that, but we don't have a ton of monster negation. So I felt like Strike was actually a better coverage card than Judgment, even though Judgment kind of covers more basic scenarios. And I thought it was good. I drew it, I think, once, and it was really good in that scenario. Outside of that, didn't see it, so it was fine. There you go. That's pretty basic. A good amount of stuff's going to change with this, so don't take too much of it by gospel. But I do feel good about the main and extra right now, at least moving forward. So there you go. That's my list. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you are somebody who is messing around with the deck and you have some ideas, suggestions, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. I'd love to hear where you guys are with the deck, or just any other thoughts and questions you have about it, just in general. Like, where are you at? And what do you want to, like, what are you curious about from my end that I can help you with? Other than that, though, I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace.